What is up, guys? It's Nasten here, coming back to you with another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Before we get started, I just want to say I'm sorry it's been so long since my last video, between school and the holidays, carrying me to the end of the last year, and general burnout in Yu-Gi-Oh due to a lack of real-life tournaments. I've been having a hard time actually getting a way to create a video. But we're back, and I'm hoping to give you guys at least a video or two each week going forward. With that out of the way, let's get into this discussion. The Armed Dragon support is slated to be coming out in February for the TCG, and like many others, I was extremely excited when it was announced. I grew up on GX, and Armed Dragon cards were some of my favorites in the entire game. I've been testing the deck for a while now, and I have to say, it does fix the main problems Armed Dragons had in the past. With the support, you can now turbo out the high-level dragons on turn 1, instead of actually waiting for 3 turns like you used to, and it does a decent job of assembling damage on board, so that you can get an actual OTK going, and is the always helpful nostalgia factor that makes the deck more fun to play. That being said, I think the deck is pretty terrible. I have a number of complaints that we'll discuss in a minute, but to summarize my thoughts beforehand, the deck is almost always shut down by a single disruption, it has almost no turn 1 board presence, and the activation restrictions in the deck for the second effect really affect the consistency and the amount of power that the deck can actually put out. These are the main complaints I have for the deck, and I understand that these complaints may hold up for many casual decks, but I think it's worse here than a lot of others. To get a bit more in-depth for these complaints, we can start with the first issue I had. The deck is extremely susceptible to disruption. In almost all instances, you'll not be able to continue your plays if the opponent negates the Armed Dragon Thunder level 3 or the Artillery Catapult Turtle. Your only real chance at playing around this is that if you have an Artillery Catapult Turtle in hand, as well as an Armed Dragon Flash in your hand, so that your opponent can negate the turtle and you can still go into an Armed Dragon Thunder level 3. This is by no means reliable or consistent, and your opponent may just negate another card like the level 5, in which case your turn really is over. The deck has no follow-up play because every Armed Dragon card relies solely on getting on the field to use its effect, and if it can't do so, it's essentially just another Garnet in your hand or just discard fodder. The second big complaint that I have is that there's no turn 1 board presence. This doesn't seem bad, most people want to go first, so going second most of the time is pretty likely. However, if the opponent knows the deck can't function going first, it's going to be an easy win for them if they just opt to go second on their own, similar to what people do against Mech Knights. To put it in perspective, the best plays you probably have is summoning a Thunder level 10, which is a pop in your opponent's turn, summoning a level 5 and using Dragon's Bind to lock them out of a special summoning, which is a combo reliant on 2 cards, one of which is not searchable, and the combo is breakable with either monster or trap removal, or the final play you can use is summoning a Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Super Dora. These are not all part of the same board, but each on their own a lackluster board. Each of these are extremely breakable, non-reliable, and won't survive against any deck in the current meta format or many in the casual format either. The deck also struggles to realize its own goals because it's restricted in what it can do by its second effect. The restriction prevents the dragons from getting their effects unless they're sent to the grave as cost for another dragon's effect. This means that when the dragons send themselves from the field to the graveyard, they'll not be getting their second effects off. To continue facilitating the plays of the deck, you're going to have to search other dragons using the previous dragon's effect, and this really prevents the deck from assembling all the damage that they need to actually OTK, because instead of searching for things like Tempest and Armagram, you're just going to be searching for, say, an Armed Dragon level 5, so you can get an additional search on your next play. The distinction's small, but it really does impact the deck and what it can do. And my final complaint for the deck isn't so much about an inherent problem the deck has, but it's more of a problem that I have with it, and that's that this deck is so damn boring. I tested this deck for about a month, and oh my god, I cannot imagine a deck with fewer decision trees on what to do. The deck is so linear that if you played the deck for 10 times, I believe you'd have seen just about every possible play the deck can make. Summon level 3, pay cost, send level 3. Summon level 5, pay cost, send level 5, and it's just repetitive on and on and on. You may be able to use 2 extenders to possibly get 8,000 damage on board and try to swing for game, but that's all that this deck does. There may be a way to tech these monsters into another deck, something like Dragunity maybe, but I haven't ever played Dragunity, so I'm not really sure how that deck functions. But on their own, the deck is so bland and repetitive that it actually hurts. I asked a friend to help me record replays for the video, and we were 3 duels in, and I was already bored out of my mind. We stopped in the middle of it because I couldn't focus on a strategy that's so repetitive. The only good thing about the deck, I think, is that the deck would be a great starting deck for a beginner. It would help teach them about simple things like summoning, attacking, cost, and a couple of the other more engaging mechanics, but it's so repetitive that a beginner could probably pick up the entire deck within the first hour or two of playing. For an experienced player, however, the deck is so painfully dull that I was actually misplaying in the recording duels because I wanted to focus on literally anything else. The deck needs any other mechanic to spice it up: graveyard summoning, effect negation, anything to make this a playable deck. Like I said before, I was extremely excited to see the archetype getting support, but this was extremely disappointing, and testing the deck killed any excitement that I had, and then some. These are my main complaints for the deck. Overall, I'm pretty disappointed with how it turned out, and I wish that it could have been something more. I think they did a great job in fixing the main level problem, and that it took too many turns to actually get the big monsters out. But other than that, I don't think this deck does a lot that's very good. Part of the reason I took so long to record another video for this channel is that I wanted to record this video, but every time I tried to sit down and make it, it just felt wrong. I honestly think it's because I got bored of the deck and just didn't want to play it, and this limited what I could really do. I'm not going to have a combo tutorial like my other videos because, like I said, the deck literally does one thing and there's nothing else, so there's not much to explain for you guys. But here's a screenshot for the deck list. I hope that you guys can find something in it to make an actual deck out of, because right now I'm not impressed at all. I haven't found much else on YouTube in terms of people teching it into other decks, but I'm sure there's something that can be done. A quick side note, the other OCG card in Dragoonity Armagram is Armagram. I honestly didn't know when it came out in the TCG, but it's essentially another Tempest for the deck, and I was using other OCG cards, so it was nice to play with it. You'll also see the side deck is really messed up, but it's mostly just cards I was testing out in the deck, and wanted to leave them there to give you guys a few more options for what you can play. But that's going to be everything for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you're able to take away something from what I found. And again, I really hope someone watching this can mesh this deck with another to make something that's actually playable. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. I have a couple other video ideas for the coming week, and I've finally moved back into my college house, so I'll be able to record more often. That's all I have for you today, guys, though. So until next time, peace.